You and Jack are feeling good, feeling strong, and then you decide to take a break.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we merge out of the shadow in these couloirs and these runnels, and then also, Jack goes up about 60, 80 feet, is looking around for a place to cut a ledge, and we sit down and have some water.
Science and Engineering from the National Science Foundation. If the eyes are windows to the soul, the contact lens may become the new TV screen. Using a complex microfabrication technique, University of Washington researchers have come up with a way to imprint tiny circuit boards and LEDs directly on a flexible contact lens. So, literally in front of your eyes, information, pictures, text, the internet, even virtual worlds can appear unseen by others. The early prototype lens has only a few LED lights in the circuit board, which is outside the range of vision. It's been created using biologically safe materials, and preliminary tests are very promising. The real vision is to imagine how these lenses could be used, and pretty much the eye is the limit. The developers envision applications from navigation to information to entertainment, possibly even medicine. They're concentrating on making sure the lenses are safe and workable before proceeding to the practical functions. We'll keep an eye on this for you. They can build a contact lens with all that stuff. You think they can throw in a locator beacon for when I lose one? The Discovery Files covers projects funded by the government's National Science Foundation. Federally sponsored research brought to you by you. Learn more at nsf.gov. From distortion comes clarity. I'm Bob Carson with the Discovery Files. New advances in science and engineering from the National Science Foundation. Are there other solar systems like ours in our galaxy? The answer bends light, kind of like a cosmic magnifying glass. If there's a planet, you won't be able to see it, but you will be able to detect it through a phenomenon called microlensing. The technique helped an international team of scientists discover the first ever direct evidence of a solar system similar to the one we live in. They found a two-planet system with a sun half the size of ours, some 5,000 light years away. Lead investigator Scott Gowdy of Ohio State.
All the planetary systems that have been found up until now look absolutely nothing like our own solar system. So there was always this lingering doubt. I think the most important thing that can be taken away from this discovery is that planetary systems like our own are actually quite common.
Gowdy's turning astronomers into celestial census takers.
So microlensing is really good at getting the complete census of all the planets in our galaxy. The census taker going out and asking how many planets are there, how big are those planets, and where are they, how far are they from their parent stars.
Are there still other systems like ours? With this new way of seeing, you might say you could count on it. For the Discovery Files, I'm Bob Carson. Some thoughts on thinking. Ouch. I'm Bob Carson with the Discovery Files. New advances in science and engineering from the National Science Foundation. New brain research out of Carnegie Mellon indicates that there's a lot more going on in our melons than one might think. The study focused on the activity of the brain when people look at pictures of very simple things like pools or dwellings. Seems easy at the outset. It's a picture of a hammer. Next. But according to the researchers, when you look at that picture, a whole range of brain centers are activated. Shape, hammer, ball peen, function, tool, dries nails, sensory, cold, metallic, heavy, motor skills, lift, swing. Brain activity, the scientists used an MRI scanner and trained a computer to look at the scans and identify brain activation patterns. In this way, they could tell which of 10 possible pictures study participants were looking at. The study also uncovered a commonality among responses of participants. It seems that your brain activity and mine are pretty much the same when we're thinking of the same objects. This research could open new doors to understanding conditions like autism, and maybe could explain why when I saw the hammer, all I could think of was whack-a-mole. The Discovery Files covers projects funded by the government's National Science Foundation. Federally sponsored research brought to you by you. Learn more at nsf.gov. When a marriage breaks up, who gets custody of the environment? I'm Bob Carson with the Discovery Files. New advances in science and engineering from the National Science Foundation. The impact of divorce can be far-reaching, but who could have imagined its effect on ecology? Who? Jack Liu and Eunice Yu. They're researchers at Michigan State, with some findings that indicate that even friendly splits are not very eco-friendly. Their study was based on the obvious, that two people, or a family, cohabiting, use less resources and space than people living apart. In divorce, when one gets the house, the other must take up space elsewhere. It's 2 fridges versus 1, 2 washers, 2 dryers, and so on. They calculated environmental impact before and after divorce with divorce rate statistics and served us the papers. In 2005, had there by some miracle been no divorce, we as Americans would have saved 73 billion kilowatt hours of electricity, 627 billion gallons of water, and space equivalent to 38 million extra rooms. With couples who divorced and remarried, the impact was reversed. Now, the researchers are not advocating that people stay together to save the planet, but rather we see creative solutions. As a growing number of couples take their separate paths, it'll leave a bigger ecological footprint. For the Discovery Files, I'm Bob Carson. What whales were when whales weren't really whales. I'm Bob Carson with the Discovery Engineering from the National Science Foundation. We've known since the days of Darwin that whales evolved from 4-footed ancestors that walked on land. We could never get a handle on just what that animal was. But now, the elusive missing mammal has surfaced. The last whale relative, or whalative, to say, hey, I'm walking here, is Indo-Hyas, 48 million years old and looking something like a small deer. In addition to skull and ear similarities to modern whales, Indo-Hyas had bones with a thick outside layer common to semi-aquatic mammals. The team says that the assumption that the whale descended from meat eaters, they believe the shift in diet came later in the evolutionary stages. Most of the whale's evolutionary journey has been documented through fossil records within the last 15 years. A whale of a find, the Indo-Hyas skeleton was uncovered in India by a team from Northeastern Ohio University's Colleges of Medicine and Pharmacy, the same researchers responsible for most of the other recent evolutionary fill-in-the-blanks for the largest living mammal. Well, enough spouting off. When it comes to whales, I could blubber on all day. For the Discovery Files, I'm Bob Carson. I'm so plastic. I'm Bob Carson with the Discovery Files. New advances in science and engineering from the National Science Foundation. Being called plastic could be taken as a compliment if you look at the properties that really make plastic work. It's flexible, strong, it accommodates, it flows, handles stress well. But what gives plastic its plasticity? A research team at the University of Wisconsin-Madison has uncovered the fundamental way that plastic, a rigid solid, can also act as a flowing, malleable material. The team studied good old plexiglass, subjecting it to a battery of tests, and studying molecular changes. It's really about stress management. Instead of the plastic breaking, what they found was the more you increase the pulling force on the material, the more active the molecules become, ready to go with the flow, rearranging themselves as a reaction to pulling. I call this the taffy pull principle. Scientists call it molecular rearrangement. But just like taffy, the material acts differently at different temperatures. The plastic goes into kind of a flowing liquid state when pulling force is applied, then goes back solid when it stops. That's the how. Now the team continues to try to understand why. That answer may give us insights into a new generation of stronger, more lightweight polymer materials. All this talk is giving me an intense craving for taffy. For the Discovery Files, I'm Bob Carson. Batteries, going from bunnies to bacteria. I'm Bob Carson with the Discovery Files. New advances in science and engineering from the National Science Foundation. The idea that maybe we could make batteries work using microbes has been kicked around for about 100 years. But nobody could find a bacterial species that does the job well. The discovery of Geobacter in the 80s really furthered the cause. These little guys produce an electric current when attached to a graphite electrode or other conductive surface. Now researchers at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities think they found a way to harness this bacteria for use in batteries, biosensors, and other applications. The electrons in a battery are like cars going to work. When other bacteria were used to produce electrons, they kind of blocked the road. Geobacter keeps traffic moving because electrons pass right through its cell walls. To get things going in a microbial battery, the microbes have got to eat. And to Geobacter, good old inexpensive graphite is a bacterial smorgasbord. As the bacteria gobble the graphite, instead of getting fat, they just split off into more Geobacter. Energy produced this way would not only be cheap, the process is incredibly simple. The team has demonstrated the concept and is now
Trying to understand how the bug does what it does. A battery that runs on bacteria. Bacteria? For the Discovery Files, I'm Bob Carson. Growing concern. Advances in science and engineering from the National Science Foundation. Scientists have no magic crystal ball to predict the effects of climate change on the world's food supply. But University of Washington and Stanford researchers have the next best thing. By integrating sophisticated climate models with historical climate data, they say the consequences of rising temperatures, especially in tropical regions, could cause severe food shortages by the end of this century, unless the world begins to adapt now. The tropics and the subtropics, home to some 3 billion people, projections say twice that by the end of the century, people here subsist on an average of $2 a day, making their living through agriculture. The team concludes that even though temperature increases in this region won't be as great as those in the mid and upper latitudes, the tropics are already at the high end of the temperature scale, so even small. Their predictions show that for staples like corn and rice, yields could drop by 20 to 40% or more. As conditions worsen, farmers will leave agricultural areas. Hundreds of millions of people could be searching for new food supplies. The effects of warming begin to snowball. The scientists say these findings point up the need for agriculture to adapt now by developing more heat-resistant crops and rethinking the way we grow. Some food for thought. For the Discovery Files, I'm Bob Carson. Atomic moving and storage. I'm Bob Carson with the Discovery Files. New advances in science and engineering from the National Science Foundation.